Hi guys, and welcome back to the channel. Today's video is just going to be a little bit different. There hasn't really been much to film on the Swarm project this week, so because of that I thought I'd film something a little bit different. One of the things that I've certainly struggled with at university is trying to get internships for the summer holidays, for example, and in this video I hope to try to help you guys get internships. So I've had two internships myself, one with a compressor company and one with a big oil and gas company. Both of them have provided a great experience for myself to actually see what goes on in a real engineering company and what a real mechanical engineer actually does in the real world. From my experience, it's absolutely almost vital for an engineering student to be able to get an internship, to be able to experience what actually goes on in a company, to be able to hopefully then take that into a graduate position. Depending on what year you're in, that kind of influences what sort of internships I think you should be applying for. Firstly, these big companies that do pay good salaries for their internships don't want to be hiring students who haven't got any experience whatsoever. So that is a possibility for after your third year, like I did. But if you're in first or second year, then you should be applying for maybe slightly smaller companies. By all means, you can still apply for the big companies, but there is a slim chance of you getting an internship with them, just because you won't have the experience at that point. One of my main pieces of advice is at the early stages, particularly after your first or second year, not to focus specifically on one industry. By all means, apply for the majority of positions in that area, but you should be open to a broad range of opportunities. At this early stage, engineering skills are very transferable between industries. So say if you get some experience in a completely separate industry, that still looks really good on your CV to be able to then be transferable with the management skills, Excel analytical skills or whatever, just general engineering skills. They are then very transferable to other industries. As I was saying, it is particularly difficult after your first and second year to get internships because still at this stage you're quite an inexperienced engineer and you haven't really gone through all of the knowledge at university that you need to be able to have to become an engineer. So at this stage I would recommend you communicate with your family and friends and just trying to exploit really all the contacts that you have to try to get into a company locally at first maybe, or even if it's a bit further out. Once you've got to that first internship, it then opens up so many more doors for you. After my first internship, then that made it a hell of a lot easier than applying for my second internship. When I was initially applying in my first and second years, I was really struggling to get interviews just because I didn't have that experience. But then once I had that first internship, I was then offered a lot more interviews and had some offers for internships. As some of you probably know already, it's a very competitive industry. Sometimes you have almost thousands of people applying for say 50 positions. It is a very competitive industry. So therefore, particularly when you're trying to apply for these bigger companies who have these huge number of applications, then it is important to have that initial first internship to make yourself stand out from the crowd. One of the problems I've found is that the slightly smaller companies don't advertise so well, so you won't actually see their adverts out there. So therefore you have to go and find them, you have to go and speak with people, speak with your family, speak with your friends, trying to find where these opportunities are at. When you do get to interviews, then it is important to have researched the company well. Looking at things from ethics to their products, to just their general how they work is very important to try to get across at an interview, for it to come across that you are interested in the company and really want to work for them. Depending on the company again, you may have a variety of different interview styles. So the bigger companies will most likely do what they call assessment days, which can be quite intense. So an assessment day is a whole day of normal exercises where you normally have an individual interview, a group task, and normally some other task associated with that, whether that's individual, group, or a mixture of that, or even some written tests sometimes, depending on how the company wants to assess you for that position. However, some other companies may just simply ask you to come in for a one-on-one interview, which can be a lot less stressful. One of the things you have to be aware for in both situations is they will normally do a technical interview. So this normally comprises of a question specific to the industry and seeing how you would approach the problem. I've had quite a few of them in the past, and they can get a little bit stressful sometimes, especially if you're not overly familiar with the topic in hand. But normally the company is just looking at how you go about solving problems rather than the final solution that you give to them. So I wouldn't be too concerned about that side of things. Assessment days are normally a great way of networking as well, trying to build up contacts, take people's names, take people's email addresses, and add them on LinkedIn, and then try to communicate with them after, trying to gain an understanding really of, say, if you didn't get the position as well, then understanding why you didn't get that position, to then be able to put that into your next application or next assessment day, so then you can really try to improve yourself to make yourself stand out and get those positions that you're wanting. Also, I didn't say earlier, but make sure to tailor your applications for each specific industry and the company that you're applying for, and also making sure that your application is on point. I know some people in the past that have put the wrong name of the company on the application just because they're copying and pasting between different documents. Do not make that mistake. Your application will be thrown out straight away just because you've put either the wrong company, the wrong date on it, or just something simple like that. But as I said at the beginning, internships are a great way of building up experience to be able to then hopefully go into a graduate position, either in one of the companies you've internshipped at or just a separate company. For example, with myself, I've had 2 internships and am now going into a graduate position with another company. Without those internships, I don't think I would have got the experience and knowledge that I have to be able to apply into this new position that I'm starting in with September. If you've enjoyed this particular type of video and want me to do some more explaining how to get internships, how to get graduate positions, etc., don't forget to put a comment down below in the comment section, and I'll make sure I can do a few more videos like this again in the future. But anyway, it's back to work now, so I'll see you guys on Thursday.